Let's talk about the St. George housing market. For the last few years, it's been on an absolutely wild ride. Soaring prices, frantic competition, you know the story. But things are definitely changing. So today we're going to break down what we're calling the Great Rebalancing and what it really means for anyone with an eye on this market. And that brings us to the million-dollar question, right? The one on everybody's mind. Is the market just cooling off a bit, or are we on the verge of a crash? It's a question that creates a ton of uncertainty, whether you're looking to buy or sell. But the data, well, it tells a pretty fascinating story.
And here's the headline right up front. The market isn't crashing. Think of it more like it's finally catching its breath after a long sprint. We're moving away from that crazy hyper-seller frenzy into a much more balanced and honestly more strategic environment. And that shift, it creates a whole new set of rules for everyone.
To really get what's happening, you have to look past the headlines and dig into the evidence. The numbers tell the real story here. So let's break them down. Okay, first up, prices. And as you can see, the data can look a little confusing at first glance. You've got Redfin saying prices are up about 5.7% year over year, while Zillow shows a tiny dip of 0.3%. Now, they use different methods, but the real takeaway here is the same. The days of those massive, guaranteed price jumps are over. The rocket ship is leveling off. Now, check this out. Active listings are up 28% from last year. That is a massive jump in the number of homes for sale. For buyers, this is huge news. It means more options, way less pressure, and the return of something that's been missing for years: choice. And you know what comes with more choice? More time. The average home in St. George is now on the market for about 77 days. Just think back a couple of years ago when houses were literally being snapped up in a single weekend with a dozen offers. This new, slower pace gives buyers actual breathing room to think, to get an inspection, and to make a smart decision. This number, 95.4%, it just perfectly illustrates the shift in negotiating power. It means homes are selling, on average, for just under their original asking price. Now that's still really strong, but it's a world away from the peak of the frenzy when homes were going for over list price. This proves that buyers are successfully negotiating again and sellers have to be more flexible. So you put all these numbers together and the picture becomes pretty clear. We're in a market that's now described as just somewhat competitive. The all-out bidding wars have faded, creating a much more balanced playing field. So what does this actually mean for you if you're looking to buy? Let's dive into the new playbook. All right, so if you're a buyer, this is where things get really interesting. The whole game has changed. And honestly, it's changed in your favor. It's time for a new playbook, one that's all about seizing the opportunities this rebalanced market is giving you. Okay, so here are your new advantages. You have more choices, and you have more time. And crucially, you have more room to negotiate, not just on the price, but on the terms, like asking for help with closing costs or including contingencies. The key is to focus on homes that are priced correctly and in good shape. But, and this is a big one, you've got to remember that financing costs are still a huge piece of the puzzle. Higher interest rates are a major reason for this cool down after all. Now let's flip the coin. For sellers, this is not a time to panic, but it is a time for a serious reality check. The strategies that worked like a charm in 2021, they just won't work today. Success now requires a completely different approach. So here are the new must-haves for sellers. Pricing your home accurately from day one is everything. That old list high and see what happens approach is a recipe for just sitting on the market. You absolutely have to expect negotiation from buyers. And because those buyers have choices, the condition and presentation of your home are totally non-negotiable. We're talking great photos, staging, curb appeal. That stuff matters more than ever before. So let's bring this all together. We've seen the numbers, we've looked at the new playbooks for both buyers and sellers. So what's the final takeaway from this whole great rebalancing? This quote really says it all. A market that favors buyers doesn't mean homes are suddenly cheap. What it means is that strategy, preparation, and good old-fashioned negotiation are back. It means there's an opportunity for smart players on both sides of the deal. Ultimately, what we're seeing is healthy. The pendulum had swung so far into that hyper-seller zone, and now it's just swinging back towards the middle. This isn't a sign of a broken market. It's the sign of a market that's correcting itself and finding its balance. And in a balanced market, success is there for everyone. Buyers who are prepared and sellers who are realistic can both walk away happy. The keywords are realistic, prepared, and strategic.
The frenzy is over and the age of smart real estate is here. Which leaves us with one final question to think about. Now that the dust is settling and the market is finding its equilibrium, who do you think truly holds the advantage? The newly empowered buyer or the well-prepared strategic seller? The answer might not be as simple as you think.